Greetings, plant-based foodies. How are you? And welcome to episode 2, numero dos of my new podcast series where, basically for this podcast, I really just want to dive into healing from a mental perspective. There are some topics of discussion that I think we really need to dive into that none of us are talking about. And it's a touchy subject, but it is what it is. We gotta, especially as feminine beings, excuse me, doing a lot of moving around over here, but especially as women and children, it's time for us to start sharing our stories. Even if you don't share your story about things that you've gone through on a public platform like this, it's time for you to start talking about what you went through. The laws are so fucked up when it comes to the mistreatment of women and children and anybody really, especially if there's like a sexual violation, which is mostly what I'm talking about on the tail end of this stupid ass Diddy trial. I I watched one documentary about the Diddy trial when it very first happened. And I clicked on a couple of stories when it very first happened. And then I couldn't watch anymore because to me, it just made me think about every other person in the limelight, every other celebrity in the limelight who's done some fuck shit to kids, some fuck shit to women, and they get away with it, or it gets minimized, or the woman is the one that's being ridiculed, blamed, and talked about and called a liar, and she's making it up. And the R. Kelly situation, even with so much like stockpiles of evidence and people coming out to tell their own stories, like there's people out there that still wants to say, oh, that bitch just want money. All of them. So I've experienced my own fuckery in my life as a child. And that is kind of what sparked me to do this, because I'm like, you know what? I know I'm not alone. I know there are people, especially from where I'm from, South Central LA. And then my mother and my grandparents being from the South. We all know. We've seen The Color Purple. That's not far off from the truth. And I know so many people are going to hate to hear that. That may be new information for some of you. That may be shocking for some of you. But the movie The Color Purple, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a classic. You need to see it. That wasn't far off from the truth. We got shady family members and shady cousins and uncles and shady family friends who've done some shady shit to the women, children, and the people in your family. And this is not just exclusive to women. Because young boys, teenage boys, older men have gone through some things that they don't want to talk about. So yeah, we're going to cover a lot of topics like that. This Diddy situation has got me so upset because when do we get to the point where we protect the feminine energy of the land? And then people get so pissed off when women have this masculine energy, and the way that kind of thing can affect you, just being violated. There are numerous ways to be violated as a child, especially, even if it's something as simple as and I shouldn't say simple because the shit ain't simple, but like someone being touched, that's on a smaller scale. of the types of things that children go through. So, yeah, I just wanted to drop in and just kind of give you a little more details about what we're going to talk about on this podcast because I think it's time. We have to start growing as a community and start supporting each other and stop ridiculing each other. It's time for us to start talking about these things. You know, there is a stigma in the African American community. I don't know about very many other communities, to be honest with you. I don't believe that it's the truth for white people, because I remember being younger, and even not just being younger, but even now, just hearing people, when it comes to the talk of therapy, people being like, oh, that's a white man's problem. That shit that white people do. I think that's ignorant, but then there are people out there who, they don't necessarily feel like it's a white man's issue, but they don't feel like they need therapy. And I think that we need to just really start doing more research. We need to take a look in the mirror, because honestly, just from my experience with therapy alone is the reason why I'm like, I got to do this. Because just talking about it and crying about it, that's a release. And it has helped me to feel so much better. And I'm like, I got to start encouraging other people to do this, because people are trying to talk to certain family members and they're getting shitted on. I'm going to tell you guys my entire story from what I can recall. And I'm going to be honest, what happened to me, I blocked it out. I had a memory recall in my mid-20s. And when I had that memory recall, it was the same exact memory every time I thought about it. That is really one good way to know if someone is telling the truth. If they continue to tell you, not everybody is an actor, okay? Even when you watch movies, one of my favorite movies is Menace to Society. And if you've seen that movie, then you know the scene I'm talking about, where Kane was in the police station and the bald head guy, I think he's dead now, and I can't even think of his name. That's so bad. But Kane, he asked him, he said, so you was in the store at 2:30. He's like, yeah, I was in the store at 2:30. And then he asked him, okay, so tell me what happened again. I was in the store about 4:30. He's like, now you know you done fucked up, right? Because you just said you was in the store at 2:30. That's how you know when somebody is lying, because they forget what they said the last time. But for me, my memory recall, it has been the exact same memory every single time, from the moment I remembered it in my 20s until now. And the unfortunate part for me and so many other people is it wasn't just one time. And I just wish more of us would start talking about it, because then maybe, that will raise more awareness. Maybe we can get on a campaign to get the laws a little stiffer. It's unfortunate that the laws aren't stiff enough when it comes to violating women like that. Women and children, or any bodily violation, especially from a sexual perspective. That shit is just not cool. It's barbaric. It's ungodly. It's inhumane. And it's fucked up. So, yes. Thank you for joining. This is the second episode of my new podcast, and there's so much more to come. Stick around. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Turn on the bell so you can hear when I post a new episode. Check me out on Instagram, a plant-based foodie. And what you see today may not be what you see tomorrow, because change is inevitable, and I'm in a space in my life of getting better and better every day, even here. So, yeah, hopefully this encourages somebody, like I'm hoping to plant a seed in somebody to just even want to talk about it to a best friend or a cousin, maybe even start writing about it. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. It's not a memory that you're making up in your head. Like, this thing happened to you and it's not cool. And you need to get it out because it's in your system. If you're not talking about it and you're covering it up and that kind of thing, it's affecting your life in some sort of way. And that's not fair to you. So, thank you. I love you. And I know this is deep, but it's necessary. It's time to talk about it. Give this video a thumbs up. Share it with somebody who you think may need to hear it. And if you have any resources available that you want to share with me, that's something that I will be sharing soon. But send them to me. Send me a message. My email is in my info in the bio. I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. All right. You can stop it.